I want to welcome everyone for joining today's training. So we already have our facilitator online. We want to encourage you to invite your colleagues, as many as possible. You can share the link to a lot of people as we start the day. Fodagi, do you have a question? We are yet to begin. Please go ahead if you have a question. Right, we want to take some housekeeping rules, instructions before we go on. So, Godfred, if you can go ahead.
Okay, good morning. Thank you very much, CD Florence. So we are welcome to today's online training. My name is Godfred. I'll be your host for today. So before we kick off, as we are here as one family, we want to also have some housekeeping rules such that we will all be aligned with the regulations or something to bind us together to have a successful training this morning without any glitches. So first of all, if you have joined with probably your phone's name or a device name, we kindly entreat you to rename your name to either your school's name or your personal name. So if you have done maybe an iPhone or an Android phone or the device name, kindly change your name to your school's name. Then let's say your school name, maybe dash your name so we know where you are coming from. And also once you join, kindly turn off your microphone. If you are joining, if you joined us and your microphone is on, kindly turn it off for us. Let's do so. And also there will be an attendance sheet from the chat section. My colleague Pearl, who gave us the powerful prayer this morning, will share the link on the chat section for us. So once you have joined, she's sharing the link. Kindly check the comment section, and you just register your name. Few questions, about 5 questions, where you are from, your school, and your contact details for us to know where you are joining us from. So let's kindly do so in the chat section. Any communication we place on the chat section. So let's kindly not flood the chat section a lot. Also, there will be a pre-training assessment link for us to get to know if you really understand where the training that we are coming to have this morning. Also, the link will be shared on the chat section. So before the resource person takes over, you kindly entreat us to fill the training assessment link. So there will be 2 links. One is for taking attendance, and the other one is for checking if your understanding for this training. Getting to the latter part of her presentation, we also have a post-training assessment link being shared on the same comment or chat session. So we entreat all of us to complete that form as well. If you want to have any questions, if probably interjecting or something like that, you kindly raise your hands and you'll be called on when there's a venue for question and answers. I hope we are all on the same page.
Yes, thank you so much, Godfred. I believe that everyone has taken note of the guidelines for today's meeting. So we are just on time to introduce our facilitator for the day. We are very honored to have Dr. Sarah Dorgbadzie, who is a theater artist and a senior lecturer. She is also the recent past head of the Theater Arts Department in the School of Performing Arts at the University of Ghana, Legon. I'm very excited that she's joining us because I was once in the School of Performing Arts and I've always loved performing arts and very much loved theater when I was in school. So it's an honor to have one of my lecturers to be speaking to us today. She's a director, a storyteller, cantor, and an actor. She has decades of experience. She's been teaching, directing, and acting. and she's really interested in writing and directing children's theater. As a theater researcher, her field of interest has been folk performance. I believe most of us know what folk performance is, and in general storytelling in particular. And she has a special leaning towards performance aesthetics, which includes the use of folklore and body language. She has been involved in reviving and documenting storytelling traditions. I had a chance to listen to some of her storytelling activities, and you'll be amazed. So we are very excited that she's going to share some of her experience, because she's worked in various places. She's a conference speaker, national and international. She's given several presentations. So we are very much honored to have Dr. Sarah Dorgbadzie, who is also the CEO of Lododo Arts. And as she takes over to talk to us about the role of storytelling in child discipleship, I hope that we would pay rapt attention, and then at the end of the day, during the question and answer time, we'll have a lot of questions to give to her. So, Dr. Dorgbadzie, you have the floor now. You're welcome to take over the training session.
Thank you very much. A very good morning to everybody. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Nice. We give thanks to Adonai for the gift of today and all that it represents. I have been doing this storytelling, and for me, I am a storyteller, a theater artist. I'm also a devout Christian. And in my eyes, I use my storytelling as my indirect means of evangelism. And so when the call came to me to speak to child discipleship and the role of storytelling in child discipleship, I thought it was a very interesting conversation to have. And so here we go. I will be talking about, I'll be talking about these topics. For instance, an overview of storytelling. I'll be talking about the key importance of storytelling lies in its role as a universal tool for communication, preserving cultural heritage, fostering empathy, engaging audiences, inspiring individuals, promoting an understanding of diverse perspectives, and providing entertainment and emotional catharsis. When we do this storytelling, usually when we talk about Ghanaian storytelling, it's a face-to-face activity, face-to-face conversation, not virtual. And so in that face-to-face conversation, a lot of dynamics happen. Many levels of meaning are derived from what we say and what we hear, and also what we see and smell. All that become part of the conversation. And really, storytelling is a form of communication that is global. It is common to all human beings. In fact, when you go to the origins of man, you will realize that storytelling was. Hello?
Introduction, plan.
Please go ahead. We muted her.
Okay. We will realize that human beings started talking about their experience, sharing experiences one to another, right from the beginning, before the development of verbal language. Okay, so how does this come into play when we talk about child discipleship? We cannot have that conversation until we find out what exactly in this conversation we'll be referring to as child discipleship. In this presentation, and probably in other presentations, I would say child discipleship is the intentional process of nurturing children in their spiritual growth and development within a particular faith. It involves guiding children to understand, which is a bad word, but I'm using it advisedly. I'm saying it's a bad word because it is not quantifiable, and we may also want to say it's guiding the children to relate, to internalize, and to live out the beliefs of the particular religious development they are seeking, and also values and practices of their faith. So they internalize these values and practices, they relate to them, they understand them. So at this point, we want to talk about storytelling and the creation of beliefs and values in children. You know, storytelling plays a crucial role in child discipleship by fostering spiritual growth, enhancing understanding, and promoting emotional connections. So storytelling is, to put it another way, a channel of communicating with children. Hello. So storytelling is a way of communicating with children via pictures, verbal pictures. You will notice that all the children in the pictures are attentive and are listening to the storytelling because they are engaged in what they are seeing. And this happened all the way in Akachi in the Volta region. Yeah, the power of storytelling in children's spiritual growth. I break this down into 3 sessions. A, the connection between storytelling and faith development. Through religious narratives, I mean, the Bible is full of stories. The Bible is 99% stories. Through these religious narratives, believers find moral guidance, inspiration, and a shared sense of purpose in their faith journey. Storytelling in faith serves as a powerful means of sharing sacred teachings and shaping the spiritual identity of believers, while also fostering a sense of community, inspiring devotion, and deepening one's connection. You know, if I want to put it broadly, I would say one's connection to the object of worship. But in this particular case, we'll say one's connection with Jesus Christ, God Almighty, with Jehovah. You may want to, maybe I should reserve the examples for later so that we don't overstretch it, but I think I should make one example here so that people will understand. The story is told of a king who wants to find a suitor for his daughter, and he decides that you put all the suitors to a test, and then he dresses his daughter beautifully, the bride, and sits at one end of a pool, and all the eligible young men at the other end of the pool. And anyone who is able to swim across the pond would win the hand of his daughter as his wife, and also gain half the kingdom in addition to his wife. Now, in the pond, there are crocodiles. But then everybody tried, because everybody likes the juicy reward that will come at the end. At one point, somebody who was hating a young man pushed him into the pond. The young man, out of fear, swam like an Olympic swimmer across the pond. He surprised everybody. He got out of the pond quickly, panting. Then he caught his breath and turned around and said, "Who pushed me?" By the time he was saying, "Who pushed me?" everybody started clapping because he had achieved the feat. Now, the crocodiles in the pond were silicone toys. They were not crocodiles at all. So the lesson here is nobody's destiny is in the hands of another. Anyone who is planning evil is setting a platform for you to attain heights that they can never attain. I believe you will agree with me that this could be a Bible story. So when you tell a story like this, the fact that people's destinies are not in anybody's hands becomes a relatable message. You understand? That whoever is planning evil for you is rather doing you good. And that is why God says in all things we should give thanks. So storytelling has a way of making this connection and deepening the relationship that we have with God, because we think of him in other forms that are more concrete than abstract. Now, the second one is how stories help children internalize moral and spiritual values. I think we can still use the story that I told. These stories help children internalize moral and spiritual lessons by presenting abstract concepts in relatable and engaging narratives, like I just said, allowing them to connect emotionally and intellectually with the values being conveyed. I told a story to my niece in America about how evil came to be. The poor child cried throughout the night till morning because she was identifying with a character and was convinced that she has also done wrong to somebody which shouldn't have been. And so these emotional reflections entrench the lessons that they learn. Through characters, experiences, and dilemmas, these children get to learn about empathy, like the child I just told you about, kindness, resilience, and other virtues which they can then apply to their own lives and understanding of spirituality. Now, the third one is examples of effective Bible stories and their impact on children's spiritual growth. I think this one we can all relate to it. Effective Bible stories such as the parable of the Good Samaritan, David and Goliath, and the prodigal son impact children's spiritual growth by presenting relatable narratives that teach values like compassion, courage, forgiveness, and trust in divine providence. Through these stories, children learn important moral lessons and principles of faith that inspire them to emulate positive behaviors, deepen their relationship with God, and navigate life's challenges with resilience and grace, thus contributing to their overall spiritual development.
Yeah, you're funny about.
Please go on.
Okay. Now, in my third slide, we're talking about enhancing understanding through storytelling. Storytelling in the first point here, which is the role of storytelling in simplifying complex concepts. Storytelling plays a crucial role in simplifying complex concepts by presenting them in a relatable and accessible narrative format. Through storytelling, abstract ideas are transformed into engaging stories with characters like human beings that you can imagine, politeness, and themes that help audiences understand and internalize difficult concepts in a more digestible manner. By weaving complex information into narratives, storytelling makes it easier for listeners to grasp, remember, and apply these concepts in their own lives, facilitating deeper understanding and engaging with the subject matter. I'll tell you one little example experience I had here. I told the story to a group of young children in a church situation, and I told them the story of the Tower of Babel. And we all loved it. We sang to it. We recited, chanted things and everything. And then in the end, hello?
Please go on.
In the end, when we were about to close and I said, oh, they should pray, the child prayer leader made a prayer point, which I thought was fascinating. He said, God should change the language of people who are converging to.
Please go on.
Please, let's mute ourselves. It can be very distracting, please. The young boy said, let's pray against all those who are devising evil against God's people. Let's pray that God would change their language so they cannot understand each other, so that their plots will not grow. I was surprised. This was a little boy of about 10. And see what he took from that Bible story that we took. In fact, that prayer topic, I also acquired it. And I've been praying it small. B, how stories help children remember and apply lessons. Stories help children remember and apply lessons by engaging them emotionally and cognitively, making the information more memorable and relatable. Through characters, politeness, and themes, stories create vivid mental images that stick in children's minds, enhancing the retention of the lessons conveyed. Additionally, stories often present moral dilemmas and examples of positive behavior, inspiring children to reflect on and apply these lessons to their own lives, thus promoting moral development and behavioral change. I will tell you that in my own experience, I was in class 3 during worship in school, for which reason I'm encouraging all schools here to take their worship seriously. In that class 3 classroom, many years ago, I still remember it vividly, Ms. Eninakwa, God bless her soul wherever she is, was telling us the story of Daniel in the lion's den. The way she told that story made such a strong impact on me. I cannot forget that story up till today. And in that worship session was when I got my Holy Spirit baptism. So stories are very powerful. Now, the third point here, encouraging critical thinking and problem-solving skills through storytelling. Storytelling encourages critical thinking and problem-solving skills by presenting narratives that engage children in analyzing situations, predicting outcomes, and evaluating characters' decisions. By prompting listeners to question motives, consider consequences, and explore alternative perspectives, stories stimulate cognitive processes essential for effective problem solving. Through exposure to diverse narratives and moral dilemmas, children learn to think critically, make informed decisions, and develop creative solutions to real-life challenges, thus fostering their overall cognitive development by analytical abilities. The point here is when you're telling the stories and you pose the question, so what do you think? If it were you, what would you say? Do you think what he did was right? You know, these questions draw the children into the experience. They actually find themselves in the world of the story. And so it is a safe environment of experience. We can go into the details of this when we get into the question time. By way of promoting emotional connections, stories, for the first point, stories help build empathy and emotional intelligence in children by allowing them to experience and relate to diverse characters, emotions, and perspectives. Through storytelling, children develop greater empathy, self-awareness, and sensitivity to others' feelings, enhancing their emotional intelligence and ability to navigate the complexities of human interaction. The second point is relatable characters and situations in stories positively impact children and help validate their experiences and promotes a sense of connection and belonging. When children see themselves reflected in characters facing similar challenges or emotions, they develop a sense of understanding. Just like I told you earlier, my niece who cried through the night because of how she got to know about the story I told her about how evil came to be. She developed all these, you know, she saw herself in the character, and she really got into the emotions. And I think up till today, when she sees me, she talks about it. Cultivating a sense of belonging and community through shared stories. When we share stories, we foster a sense of belonging and we create community. By creating a shared narrative that binds individuals together through their common values and experiences. Storytelling unites people by making them feel connected to one another and feel like they are part of something larger than themselves. So when we do the communal storytelling, at that particular moment, or you are in a Sunday school classroom, the children in the classroom listening to the story at the same time develop a kind of bonding. They form community in that story, in that storytelling session. And that bonding can grow outside the meeting time. You know, they share a certain fellow feeling. They feel like they have experienced a certain world together. And so a kind of special bonding, you know, is created among the listeners. Look at the children in the storytelling session. Look at how they are relating to each other. You know, it creates, like, the community is created. They are listening to one story being told by one person, but all the reactions are shared. Let's move on. Techniques of effective storytelling in child discipleship. A, engaging storytelling methods such as role-playing, interactive activities captivate the audience and enhance comprehension by appealing to multiple senses and hearing styles. These methods encourage participation, thereby enhancing understanding among the listeners. Another thing I would like to talk about apart from these is the storyteller's use of body language and voice. It is one thing that will make the children engage with the stories they are listening to. If you keep your voice on one level, and so Kwekwanansi went and told the father that, oh, this is the bad thing that this boy has done, and so please don't allow him to come. The children will get bored. But the rise and fall of your voice, the insertion of emotion into the voice, variety in voice levels, and the creation of suspense are very important techniques in getting the children involved in what you're saying and keeping and sustaining their attention. Another thing is the introduction of songs and interaction, interludes during the narration. We can talk about this in more detail. B, tailoring stories to different age groups and developmental stages. This involves presenting content that matches cognitive and emotional needs. For younger children, simplicity and visual aids help comprehension, while older children benefit from more complex narratives, stimulating critical thinking and empathy. All the questions: if it were you, what would you have done? If it were you, what would you have said to this person? Do you think that what he did was right? That kind of thing. Ensuring meaningful learning and growth. The third point is incorporating diverse stories reflects the broader world and promotes inclusivity by representing a variety of perspectives, experiences, and identities. By sharing narratives that celebrate diversity, storytellers foster empathy, understanding, and appreciation for different cultures, backgrounds, and lived realities, creating a more inclusive and equitable society. This also we can talk about in more detail. You see, everybody is involved in the actions and the activities. They are attentive, they are engaged. Let's go. Here, addressing potential limitations, point 1. Inclusive storytelling acknowledges cultural differences and individual learning styles, ensuring narratives are respectful and engaging for all. By incorporating diverse perspectives and accommodating various learning preferences, storytellers create an inclusive experience that resonates with a broader audience. 2, advancement in technology enhance storytelling by introducing interactive elements and multimedia enhancements, creating dynamic and immersive narratives that captivate audiences and deepen engagement. I think this is very clear. And C, encouraging adult involvement in storytelling reinforces lessons and creates a supportive environment, fostering collaboration and enhancing the impact of storytelling on children's learning and development. Another way of saying this is that in the end, at the end of the experience, to a large extent, the children embody the experience. You saw in the pictures, they were raising hands, they were making faces, and these are things that they have done with the body, and they will remember what they did. There's another one, which is a very big a theatrical word called processuality, which means that the performance continues after the end of the performance. And in one storytelling session, a woman recorded her children at home. About 3 weeks after they have been to my storytelling session in the drama studio, they were singing the songs that I sang in one particular story. Seniwa ding ding ding, seniwa na ne nyankopon, seniwa ding ding ding, seniwa minini di nobwa, seniwa ding ding ding, seniwa ono kodomia, seniwa ding ding ding, sen wama area ishiato, seniwa ding ding ding, sen sameme kodonwa, seniwa ding ding ding, seniwa wama area bo, seniwa ding ding ding, seniwa pitra piti pa, seniwa ding ding. The children kept repeating this. In fact, there's another parent who now calls me Pitra Pitipa. You know, so they will not forget the story and the lessons that they got from the story. This is what I mean by embodying what they learn. Okay, so coordinator, post-training assessment. We are to check the chat box, comment section, chat box or comment section. Mm-hmm. Are we there?
Yes, we're here.
Okay. So should I give a brief moment for this to happen?
Yes, so let's take a few minutes. Please go to the chat box. Doc, you don't need to share the chat box. You continue sharing your screen.
Okay.
You can share the presentation. That would be great. All right.
Okay.
So the rest of us, can you please check the chat box? Pearl, kindly repeat the pre and post training assessment before we go to the question and answer time. And if you have not registered, the link is there.
That's good. Okay. So addressing challenges and opportunities in using storytelling in child discipleship. A, inclusive storytelling acknowledges cultural differences and individual learning styles No, sorry.
I think you've done that.
Done that. Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
So, Doc, would you like to start taking questions?
No, I was just going to do a brief conclusion.
Okay, please go ahead.
Did I talk about challenges and opportunities? No, forget about it.
Yes, you did.
I did. Yeah. Okay. So just a brief conclusion, then we can go into the conversations. That's what will make the thing more interesting.
Yes.
In conclusion, storytelling serves as a cornerstone in child discipleship, offering a powerful vehicle for imparting spiritual teachings, fostering moral development, and nurturing a sense of belonging within religious communities. By engaging children's imagination, empathy, and critical thinking skills, storytelling not only transmits important lessons, but also cultivates a lifelong connection to faith and values. I've told you about my experience in class 3. I still remember it. I must have been less than 10 years old at the time. I'm over 50 years old now, but I still remember it. In essence, storytelling is an indispensable tool in guiding children in their spiritual journey, shaping their character, and instilling a deep sense of identity within their religious tradition. Thank you very much. Here ends my presentation.
Thank you so much. That was really powerful. I've learned a lot, and I hope we have all learned something from today's session. We would take a few questions. Please raise your hands if you have a question. You can go to the bar on your screen. There is reactions. There is raise hands there. You can just raise your hand, and then we will call you to ask a question. Do I see a hand? Okay, Miracle. We'll start with Miracle.
Okay.
Thank you very, very much. That was amazing.
Thank you.
I'm asking, please, so can you give us more guidance on how to use these stories, like in real situations? You're about to, for example, teach something which is maybe some core value of Jesus Christ, maybe integrity. How exactly are you going to combine some inclusive story with maybe the actual Jesus story that he was a man of integrity? You are going to maybe have to trace his integrity throughout his life. It's not usually a fun thing. How exactly are you going to do it?
You see, Jesus Christ was a storyteller. Do you know that?
Yes, please.
Yeah. When Jesus Christ wants to teach something, he says the sower went out to sow. He was not talking about sowers at all. He was talking about people. Does that answer your question?
Yes, in a way. I want more practical steps.
Yeah, more practical. This is virtual. You know, you have to be creative on the spur of the moment. So that is why I gave you the sower went out to sow example. No matter what moral you want to teach, there is always a way to create a story around the moral. Do you understand? For instance, I'm just showing you some of the techniques that you can follow.
Okay.
You know that legendary proverbial Kweku Anansi? He represents all human beings. Kweku Anansi stands for human beings, human behavior. And he has accomplices. If you want to talk about Judas, you can represent Judas with Kweku Anansi. and represent Jesus with God. Nkokwanasi has interactions with God. What are the scenarios that you want to talk about? You understand? Let's think of one scenario. Give me one scenario. You talked about moral.
So, okay, perseverance.
Perseverance. What are the characters? Where is it in the Bible? What Bible story do you?
I can use Jesus and the cross, let's say for the Easter story, how he endured to the end.
Mhm. You see, when you say how he endured to the end and you stop there, it is not inspiring.
Mhm.
What is the outcome of the endurance?
The resurrection.
You see, so your plot development has to end on a strong note. If it ends on a low note, then you create a low feeling in the people. Then they don't get to experience catharsis. One thing is, when you are telling the stories, it is important to encourage interludes. The interludes can come in the form of songs. For instance, when you go to the Pentecostal churches, when the preaching is going on, it's like storytelling. When the preaching is going on, the audience members are encouraged to create interludes by raising songs. If it is a story about Abraham and Isaac and the sacrifice, as the preaching is going on, somebody will just get up and say, Abraham, Abraham, Abraham. Everybody will sing it. Then they continue. These are pointers that underscore some of the points in your story. In fact, in the ever service of charismatic evangelistic ministry where I fellowship, they would even say, that day I was there, which is the way it is said in the ever storytelling genre. You want to generate an interlude, you say, that day I was there. You put yourself in the situation. And then you raise the song. And these songs go to underscore some of the core points that you're making. Please, am I making sense? This one should be in person, that we can really demonstrate.
Yes, it's very helpful.
Yeah, we will put that into consideration. Let's take another question from Franca. Franca, Lindsay, can you unmute and ask your question?
Hello, good morning to all.
Good morning.
It's a brilliant morning, my dear.
So I want to dwell on the techniques in effective storytelling in children discipleship or in discipling a child.
Okay.
As a Christian teacher or educator, one of the points I believe was mentioned was incorporating diverse stories to reflect the broader world and promote inclusivity. Now, if I wanted to ask how to chip in Bible stories or stories of scripture, say when you're teaching mathematics or science or teaching creative arts, which is not necessarily RME, where everybody knows that, okay, this is the Christian genre where we have to hear Bible stories. But I'm teaching science, I'm teaching social studies, and I see a point where I could attach a story from biblical settings. How do I go about it? Thank you.
You just tell the story. You know, I teach acting and I teach directing in the School of Performing Arts. If you ask my students, they will tell you about the stories I tell. In fact, there are students who leave, they go to level 400 and they come back to join level 300 classes because they want to hear the stories. And the stories are always, they are not the same stories. As you get to the point, something inspires something, and then I tell a story. And by telling that story, the point becomes so explicit to them. So the thing is, how it becomes very, to use the word of today's young people, it becomes very cringy when you're teaching science and you start talking about this is why Jesus said, it becomes very, it will become repulsive for them.
Yeah.
So you use the Jesus technique. A sower went out to sow.
Mm.
You create a story about, if we want to do this here, we will not finish. And that's what an overview.
Yeah.
You will create a story about the point you want to make. So you tell that story, and the students will relate to the story because you haven't mentioned Jesus. And after that, you can now bring in the Jesus factor. So how many of you go to church here? You know the Bible? You do know that the story is in the Bible. This is why this happened. In the Bible, they said this person did that. This is what happens. Do you get the trick? Hello?
Yes.
Am I frozen?
Hello, thank you very much. That was
No,
very
you're
helpful.
not frozen.
Uh,
We'll take 2 more questions.
did I answer your question, young lady?
Yes, please, you did. You did.
Okay.
Thank you.
As for stories, keep telling them.
Yes, please.
All right, so we'll go with Prince. Prince, kindly unmute and ask your question.
Yes, good morning.
It is a very good morning, sir.
Please, my name is Prince Ossie, Brimbers Academy.
I'm pleased to
Pleased to meet you, Tuma. My question, I don't know if maybe I'm to direct it to you or to Auntie Florentine. So I want to know, so where does the storytelling come in? Does it come in during our discipleship class? Does it come in during our discipleship club? Or do we train teachers or discuss it with teachers to also kind of inculcate it during their normal lessons?
I will tell you first. I'll answer first.
Okay. All
I
right.
tell the stories everywhere and every time. And one day, and I tell it every time, actually, life is about stories. There are stories about every part of life. And I prayed a certain prayer. I asked God, why is it that when I talk to these people, they cry? Because once there's an opportunity, I'm telling you a story about life. And especially our brothers and sisters who have come from the diaspora who are seeking to know about the Ghanaian culture. I tell you the story, and when I tell them the story, they just break down and cry. So I prayed about it. I said, God, why? Why do they cry? It says, because you bring them to a moment of truth. So they encounter truth. And when they encounter truth, at that point, the Holy Spirit is there. I haven't mentioned Jesus at this point, though. But they encounter the Holy Spirit. And so they get convicted. That's why they cry. At that point, it is very easy to talk Jesus because they are open and ready. So at any point in your teaching, I'm telling you, you see this ring I'm wearing? This ring won a soul at the airport. Yeah. He said, Madam, anybody who wears this ring is an Africanist. I said, I am an African. I don't want to make a religion out of it. I'm an African. And we started talking and said, oh, but you go to church. The way you're talking. I said, yes, I go to church. I said, oh, I thought you'd be a traditionalist. I said, no, I'm not a traditionalist. I believe in Christ. And we started talking. And then I started telling him stories. He broke down and cried and accepted Christ. At the airport, at the bandero. You know, anywhere, anytime is a good time to tell stories. Don't wait for any particular time. The fields are ripe.
All right. Praise, I hope
Right.
that answers your story because I don't have any answer. That is the best answer you can get. All right, Janet, I saw your hand
Thank
up.
you.
No, well, are you satisfied, Prince?
Yes, I'm satisfied, Auntie, but sometimes You see, we also dealing with school, so we have lesson hours. I have a lot of story because practically my life has really transformed in a way by the grace of God. So I have a lot to share with the children, but I also sometimes think it tries to take the lessons period in a certain way.
No.
Sometimes
Integrate it into the lesson. It is the lesson. There's the lady who talked about the science class. God is the master scientist. What are you talking about?
Sure.
So there's always the opportunity. It is how you do it.
Sure.
It is how you do it, and that's how it has to be in person.
Right.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
I can see the hand of one of our trainers and facilitators, Dr. Gideon Mensanapi. Dr. Napi, please go for it.
Thank you so much, Florence. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you
insightful
too.
presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. I think Flo, want only 2 questions, but I have to break protocol to come in here based on Prince's concern.
And
Yeah.
reality.
That's right. Great. Prince, I think the current curriculum you're delivering, the new standard-based curriculum, it's explicit on storytelling, drama to illustrate lessons to children. So, as Doc has said, every time is a storytelling. The reason being that when children are engaged in these creative approaches, they make the lesson their own. Cognitively, it supports them to reflect, and Doc has said extensively on that. So every day, every moment where you have to present a content, that, and I like what Doc said, you have to be the master storyteller all the time. And this is how you memorize knowledge. I think time will not allow to go into that, but I know Doc has said a lot scientifically about storytelling for children learning, both in discipleship or classroom learning. Is also a presentation. Doc, thanks so much, Florid, for giving the opportunity.
We give thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Nape, and thank you, Dr. Dorgbadzie, for this powerful session. I have learned a lot, and I know that I see another hand. I was about to close up, so let me take a last one, and then we would wrap it up. Ohineba Kwame. That sounds like a friend of mine.
Hello, good morning.
It is a very good morning.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm so much grateful.
We give thanks to God.
God bless you.
Thank you, and bless you
very,
more.
Very educated. I just want to see that when all we have heard is practice in the classroom, we are going to develop that holistic chart for the development of the country. God bless you. I'm grateful.
Amen. Thank you. You know, I just finished a storytelling event on Friday. And you should have seen children at this storytelling coming to whisper to me some of the questions I asked, but they have now thought about it. So the whole time they were engaging and digesting the process. Auntie, I think this is why Kukwanansi didn't do it right. You know, they were thinking about it. They were engaged. Storytelling is a very powerful method. This is why our forebears were very, very, very intelligent enough to create storytelling. We usually look down on folk things, but storytelling, as they used to socialize us in days gone by, was a very important, very useful teaching method, you know. And I'm very happy that we are looking at storytelling again in a very, very positive light. Not to say that, oh, I went to a village once to ask, you know, I work in communities, getting them to tell their stories again. I went to an old lady, you know, and she said to me, why are you talking to me about earthenware pots when we are now talking about aluminum pans? And I said, hey, Grandma, aluminum pans, they are the ones bringing cancer. They are bringing cancer. The earthenware pots have been adjudged the best, cooking pots. So let's go back to them. You understand? So anytime you hear of us during the storytelling events, Lododo Art storytelling events, please just come. You will see in practical terms what happens, and that will reinforce, and you would have been in a storytelling situation, and it will reinforce your experience and understanding, and all the things we've talked about, you will acquire it, and then you will be able to impart it effectively. You can listen to some of my stories on YouTube. I do some short storytelling things on YouTube. Keteke stories, Keteke, Keteke stories is there. My name there is Auntie Mansa, which is my name too. So you can learn some of the techniques that I have spoken about, the use of voice, suspense, pauses, pregnant pauses, all these ones, we have to do it in person.
Wow, that's really, really, really exciting. I'm very sure everybody is glued and listening to your powerful words, and I have learned a lot. I don't know about the rest of us. We want to take a few moments before we wrap up and let Doc go. We want to just give some feedback on this session. That would help her also know how it has been. So kindly go to the chat. There is one link for attendance. We want to know those who have been on this in this training to give us a very fair view of when we're coming back to your schools for visits and you tell us you were in this session, then we know how to support you. So please enter the attendance. And then there is a pre-training assessment that we did from the beginning. If you have not done that, kindly click on the link and kindly do that. So Pearl, can you put all the links back again? So we have attendance, pre-training, and then the post-training assessment. It has only 4 questions. We want to see how best you have understood this session and if there is any more support. I kept hearing in person, and you know how Edify, we try to support the schools. So maybe in future we'll consider having an in-person session where we can invite Dr. Dorgbadzie to speak to us about storytelling in practical terms. And maybe we ourselves will be in the storytelling.
Yes, I'll be happy to do that. I do that with some churches. After being in one, some churches invite me to train their Sunday school teachers.
Yeah, and please feel free if you want Dr. Dorgbadzie to be in your school to train your teachers, feel free to reach out to her. But please know that you have to take care of that by yourself. That will be outside of Edify's invitation. Can we take a few moments to fill the forms? Pearl, please let me know if we have responses coming in.
All right.
A few more minutes. Kindly fill the forms. Ohineba, is your hand up again? We are filling the forms now. If you haven't, kindly do that, and then
afterwards I'll send the write-ups on the topics and send them to you.
All right, that would be awesome. Thank you so much. Auntie Ellen.
Yes, please. Good morning. Please, where do we fill the forms?
Okay, so there is a chat box just on your, if you're using your phone, you will see that the link has been shared. Please, have you seen it?
Not yet, sir.
Okay.
Not yet.
I'm sending it again. It will pop up again.
Okay. Attendance link. I've seen it. Please.
Great. So you
Thank
can
you,
click
sir.
on all of them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, Hannibal Palmer's hand is still up. Is it the old one
Yes.
or a new one?
That's what I'm wondering. Ohineba, do you have a question? I think it is the old one.
Okay.
All right. So we will take a closing remark from
This thing
Doc.
is not-
Let me mute that. We'll take a closing remark from Doc, and then I will say, okay, someone is asking how they can reach out to you to come over to their church. So you can add that to your closing remarks.
Oh, wow. My contact number, which is also on WhatsApp, is 0244 611 604.
Right.
0244 611 604. So you can't forget it. It's a tune. If you don't get the figures right, the tune will change. 611 604.
That's very creative. All right, please give us your closing remarks before we go ahead.
What do they say in closing remarks, Gra? I would like to say, as teachers, I am one of you. I am a trained teacher, classroom teacher, before I came to Legon. Everything we are doing here, we are doing unto Christ. The young minds dedicated into our hands, we have a responsibility to nurture them, whether they are Christians or whatever. I had a conversation with a young girl, a young lady from my son's school. He came and told me that, Mama, my friend is going through something. I think she should speak. Would you like to speak to her? I said, bring her. And the young lady came to speak with me, and we had a conversation. She is a Muslim. We had a conversation. She asked me to put her in tune with a prayer platform that I pray on. Do you see? I didn't mention Christ. I didn't talk Bible. But she asked me, what did she see? What did she experience? Let's show these children love. Let's show them love. You are in the place of Christ in their lives. Jesus said, let the children come unto me. Be a teacher unto whom your children will come. Asawara, Yedin. Please, teachers, this is why we say the work we do is unto God and the reward is in heaven. People ridicule us, but it is a calling to be a teacher. It's a calling. It is not a well-paid job. Everybody knows, and yet there are always teachers taking the job because it is a calling. Yeah, let's do it from our hearts, and our children will never forget us. And we would have the life we are living now is about other people. Sometimes it gets frustrating and people want to, this child, I will do this, I will do that. Please do it in the love of Christ. Correct them all you can, but don't let them feel that you are showing venom, that you're showing hatred. Even when you punish them, let them feel the love that you have for them. You are the first point of call unto Christ for them. Whether we are Sunday school teachers or we are teaching science or mathematics or creative arts, whatever, wherever. And even in the creative arts, there's even more room to share about God and Christ. Is the master creator. If you leave me, I'll keep talking.
I was just going to say that. Wow, it's been really awesome. Shall we all applaud our dog for spending the time with us? Thank you so much. We really love your time and sharing. We really appreciate it. We are very sorry we stretched the session a little bit more, but because as you can see, it was really interesting. So,
well, I understand that. I didn't think 1 hour was going to be enough.
Thank you all for joining. For those of you who are joining from far and near, we really appreciate your time. Our next session will be at the end of May. So we are looking forward to have another speaker speak to us on another topic. So kindly look out for it anytime it's on your pages. And want to say a big thank you to Dr. Dorgbadzie for spending time with us. God bless you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you and stay blessed. Grace
and
bounty from all of
you.
us. Thank
you.
Bye.
Thank you to everyone. Bye.